Yeah. Dear audience, dear panelists, welcome to our session responding to Russia's war towards energy autarky on a local level. Before presenting our panelists, thank you for coming all, I quickly introduce the topic of the day. So, not the topic of the day, the topic of our session, of course. Russia is a global player in energy markets, and Germany relies heavily on gas, as all know, and we try to replace. And the topic of the day, of this session here, is how to replace Russia's gas and oil, and how can we manage and improve in using more renewable energies, for example, or towards energy autarky on a local level. And we want to discuss how to establish German-African energy partnerships. And the first keynote speaker later is Lea from UN Habitat. But before, I'd like to introduce all my panelists. Just a second. So we have Lea from UN Habitat, expert on climate change in urban environments. So here is Andreas Wolter, mayor from the city of Cologne, and he also chairs the Climate Alliance. Welcome, Andreas. Next to me, Mayor Melanie Grabowy from the city of Bonn. Bonn is well known as the international city, and I'm happy to have you with me. And Lea already introduced, and Dr. George Youssef from Menjes from Lebanon explains to us how we can decentralize energy supply, and he is an expert, and we are happy to have him with us. And of course, there are some virtual guests as well. This is Mr. Houchin Schrat from Tunisia, and my partner Ricarda Meissner from GIZ Connective Cities. Hello everyone. And Maxime, who's also an energy expert and supports Ricarda. Lea, so I'd like to start with you. So, question for you. So what is the energy situation worldwide? And you wrote to me that the consequence of Russia's war, we are discussing this night, we face record price levels even higher than the well-known price levels in 1973. So we know that nearly 1 billion people have no access to electricity. So please give us a picture. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Sabine. Pleasure to be here. And if I could get my PowerPoint presentation up, that would be fantastic, because I think the presentation actually responds exactly to your questions that you've just posed here. And I'll just wait for the presentation to come up. And in the meantime, I can say what I'll do briefly is speak about what's the global status of the energy transition, then why do cities matter, and then as a last thing, speak just briefly about an exciting thing that's happening now here at COP, the Ministerial Meeting on Urbanization and Climate Change, which we really hope will bring cities more to the forefront. And I can see the presentation up on both screens. Great. And now a nice gentleman beforehand explained to me how this works, but apparently the clicker thing
it works.
It remains a challenge. So let me start firstly with a reality check. And I think this reality check is clearly that the energy transition is not on track. We've seen a dip in energy demand over the last year with COVID happening. But with the rebound in economic activity in 2021, we actually saw, again, a roughly 4% increase in global energy demand, contributing again to record emissions. So we had some decreases due to COVID, but right back up in 2021. So this global increase actually offset all of the growth of renewables that we've seen. So the reality check is the world is burning more fossil fuels than ever today. And the second reality check is also we are hearing about these massive installations, record installations in renewables, but most of this is happening predominantly in the power sector. But that's not where we use most of our energy. I think there is always a big discrepancy when we speak about energy. And when people speak about energy, they think only about electricity. But we use more than 80% of our energy actually for heating, cooling, and for transport. And if you look at these little yellow squares here, this is where renewables are lagging behind. In the power sector, we are advancing, but in heating and cooling and transport, we are lagging behind. And just to say, these yellow squares have barely changed over the last 10 years, while at the same time, energy demand has increased rapidly. So, and I think, we spoke about briefly, the Russian war. This is also one of the framings of this topic here today. The reality is that our energy system remains highly dependent on fossil fuels. And just to say, if we now zoom a little bit into what's happening in the EU imports approximately 40% of its oil and gas needs from Russia. And I pulled out for you, just out of curiosity, there is a tracker that tracks what is the EU member state spending on Russian fossil fuels. This is the number from this morning. This is 110 billion euros spent on Russian fossil fuels since the 24th of February. That's a massive number, and that's only the EU. There's more countries spending, of course, money on fossil fuels. And the reality is that this money could be spent much better elsewhere. We've seen that the cost of renewables have decreased rapidly over the last 10 years. The levelized costs of onshore wind power and solar PV are now cheaper than fossil fuels on average. What does this mean? This means that in most countries around the world, electricity production from renewables is more effective and more cost-effective than from new coal-fired power plants. And I think what's even more interesting is that in an increasing number of countries, it's more cost-effective to build new renewables than to let existing coal power plants running. And I think that's actually a big myth that we need to keep them running because we've already built them. No, in many countries around the world, it's cheaper to replace it with renewables. And then I think as a last thing, and this is on the cost discussion, is of course a very simple graph, but even if we look into the gas prices, already last year renewables were outcompeting natural gas on costs in many locations. And if you then of course see what happened in 2022, and if you look at the USD dollar per kilowatt hour, this is now for solar PV, it's much cheaper. I think this is not even a discussion, and this graph shows it quite visually as well. So why does this matter even for cities? This is the global picture. And I think if we now zoom into what's happening at the city level, we see that cities are, of course, high-impact areas. More than 50% of the global population lives there. They account for approximately 3/4 of global energy consumption. So they are drivers of climate change. But they're also incredibly vulnerable to climate change. And I think this is where this discussion comes in. And there's 1 billion people living in informal settlements. There's still approximately 800 million people who lack access to electricity. And there is already today around the world 1.6 to 3.3 billion people who live in hotspots highly vulnerable to climate change. And you can bet that the overlap between the people living in informal settlements and the one highly vulnerable to climate change, there is a big overlap right there, because they live in very precarious living situations, because they live in areas that are prone to flooding, and so on. So, and I think, I don't want to speak too much about what cities can do, because I hope this is what the colleagues here on the panel will speak about and give some really vivid examples. But I think we are seeing cities stepping up to this challenge. There's more than 11,500 cities that have committed to climate action. There is now more than 1,500 cities that either have a renewable energy target or a renewable energy policy, and in some cases even both. We've seen cities leading by example, putting solar PV on their rooftops, putting solar PV on all the public buildings that they control, and also passing policies that make sure that we have renewables in the entire city. And just as one anecdote, and I did that research myself a couple months ago, there's actually no country that has a mandate for solar PV for new buildings. And to me, this is shocking. In 2022, we can still build buildings, new buildings, and it's not mandatory to put solar PV on the rooftop. There is no country, as far as I know, that has such a mandate. Cities do. Regional governments do. So I think there is some real leadership here where also national governments can learn from. And of course, we've seen this massive push for city government banning fossil fuels, specifically natural gas, also in their cities. So while this is of course not necessarily a push for renewables, it does open the door specifically for electrification. And I realize running out of time, but I do want to say that there, of course, I can speak about what fantastic jobs cities are doing, but cities cannot do it alone. There are definitely still challenges for city climate action, city renewable, and action on renewables. So that's definitely the topic of multi-level governance. Many regulations and market conditions are being set at higher levels of government. So cities need to are bound by these regulations. Finance, we always speak about the money. There's less than 10% of the climate finance is actually reaching the local level, and it's definitely not enough. Question of local capacity, of the human resources and the technical resources, who can support the energy transition at the local level. Technology and innovation, we know that cities could be reducing their greenhouse gas emissions by already 90% by 2050 with technically feasible and available measures, but these need to reach the local level. And then as a last thing is the equity issue, that of course vulnerable groups who are disproportionately affected by climate change often are not the ones who are being taken into consideration when such measures are being put in place. I'm still struggling with the clicker, by the way. And so as a last thing before I wrap up is, I mentioned it in the very beginning, but we are having, there is a COP27 ministerial meeting on urbanization and climate change happening on Friday, 17th of November. And what's exciting about this is that it's the first time we are seeing housing and urban development ministers coming together at a COP. And that's, we hope, a big game changer also for this entire debate, really bringing cities to the COPs and to this climate discussion. And there we will also launch the COP27 Presidential Sustainable Urban Resilience for the Next Generation initiative, short SURGE, which really also looks with the objective of how can we bring together effective multi-level climate governance, how can we work across different themes, energy, buildings, transport, waste, to really work towards these sustainable, healthy, and more resilient cities. So you have the information here. Warm welcome, of course, for everybody to attend. And as a last thing, just to wrap up, is to say it's not only about renewables for renewables' sake. There is an opportunity here, and that means local economic development, job creation at the local level, combating air pollution. We've seen these smoggy cities, and we've gotten a taste of how different cities could look like during COVID. Addressing the vulnerabilities and the urban poor. Of course, this question of controlling municipal energy costs, and then also meeting the community needs and having a better social urban governance in cities. And I'll leave you with this quote, and I hope this is a good kickstart for the discussion, which is, renewables are the peace plan of the 21st century. And I think there's nothing more to add to that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Lea, for your strong plea for renewables we'd like to discuss. And of course, for highlighting the important role of municipalities, and I'm happy to be here with three municipal leaders that can fulfill everything with life later. And you said how important it is to bring cities to climate negotiations. So yes, this is very important to us as well, especially we Germans are still already not involved in official climate negotiations. I mean, we are still lobbying for this, and also like to take this opportunity. Before discussing globally how to replace Russia's gas, we want to remind what happened, not all over the world, but especially in Ukraine. And Andreas is with us from the city of Cologne, partnered with the Ukrainian city of Dnipro, and he brings us a film that explains what happened in Dnipro.
Я хочу окремо підкреслити, що Росія обстрілює ракетами нашу цивільну інфраструктуру, вони хочуть паралізувати життя міст в Україні, лишити нас електроенергії, лишити тепла, дати таку можливість, щоб люди виїжджали з міст, по-перше, у Європу, створювати міграційну кризу в Європі. І тому нам потрібна зараз допомога, щоб критична інфраструктура по всій Україні працювала. Нам потрібні генератори.
Thank you so much. Andreas, do you want to explain the film, or shall we? Yeah, okay, please, the floor is yours.
Yes, we asked our new sister city of Dnipro in Ukraine to support us a little bit and to explain what's happening just there in Ukraine. And the title of this pavilion is Ambition in Solidarity, and I think it's very, very important actually for European cities as well as others to support our friends in Ukraine. And our problem actually in Germany is that gas in this winter is limited. So we hope that perhaps it will be a mild and warm winter without snow, then we can where there will be not so big problems, but if it's getting cold in December, January, might be we get some problems. So, but back to Dnipro, we met a few months ago at the World Urban Forum in Katowice in order to start our twinning project, and after talking a little bit about direct medical aid and what's happening, actually we saw it in the movie with the missiles going to Dnipro from Russia.
Oops.
He direct I don't. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I
So
think everything is fine.
we the city of Dnipro said after after these problems we have to talk about energy solutions and autarky and energy efficiency. So that's a big challenge in Dnipro, and we want to build also this partnership on this issue very strong. So what will be in the next year? The winter will be hard for everyone in Ukraine as well as in Europe, especially in Germany. But I think also this war can be perhaps also will bring a change and might be also a booster for the renewables and for energy autarky. So and especially also for diverse structures. What we see in Ukraine and what we have actually in Germany is the fossil solutions that are the real problem because they are not very diverse, and so and you can with some missiles you can bring problems to whole regions or to a whole city. And so what we can do is now to collaborate with our sister cities as well with Dnipro now, but we do it also in our networks, in our European networks, very active, like Eurocities, like CMR. So we are in Climate Alliance. Last week we had a small regional COP in Brest, in Brittany. So it's also so people are start to discuss this problem. How can we make local or regional solutions? And what we need is, I think, the most important thing is to involve also the citizens. And so our homework in Cologne we have to do. There's 9.5 million tons of CO2. We have to abolish them in the next years, and that was quite interesting. We had 2 years ago there was a citizens petition organized by Klimawende Köln, so Climate Change Cologne. That is an association of climate activists, and they collected signatures for a petition.
Andreas, can I come back a little bit to energy autarky? So we discussed energy autarky as one possibility to replace Russia's gas. So what is the Cologne answer you maybe bring into your international network? So how do you in Cologne improve energy autarky?
Yeah, at least that was what I would like to say. So we did, at least there was the petition and the people. So and if this petition wasn't adopted by the city council, there was a citizens' decision. So there were, and both sides said perhaps you can lose this this decision by the citizens. So they negotiated the city, the citizens, and also our energy supplier. And at least we said, okay, we would like to get CO2 free in 2035. And we described also the way how to get there. That means, by example, every year on the Cologne roofs we need 15,000 photovoltaic units. It means that we support our citizens, and that's now the duty for the citizens. We give some subsidies to the house owners to change their heatings in fossil-free heating systems. So and we are very. I think we can manage it until 2035. And the most interesting thing is that we don't only make this the goals. So we also negotiate a step how to get there, to get energy autarky, not in 2030, because we have, by example, a big lignite coal power plant in the north of Cologne, who is responsible also for energy supplies for all the chemical industries there. But it will be replaced in a few years, and we will manage it.
Okay, thank you so much. And may I bring in our colleague from the Lebanon? So you told me prior to this session how your city was affected by the Russian war as well, and that you are very familiar with energy autarky in your country. As we know, what we are missing in Germany is sun and wind and power, but you have more than enough in Lebanon. So what is your strategy, please?
I would like to thank Connective Cities and German Pavilion to give me this opportunity to share our experience in the climate resilience. For the beginning, Menjes city is located at the far north of Lebanon, at the borderline with Syria. This is a rural municipality, and the region is the poorest region in Lebanon. And the municipality is recently created since 2012. All Lebanese municipalities today are facing many crises, from climate change crisis and health crisis to refugees crisis. You can imagine the third of the population in Lebanon are refugees. And now we have a big crisis, economical and financial crisis. The Lebanese pound has lost 2,000% of its value. Lebanese banks are almost closed, and the budget of the municipality from the government does not exceed $5,000 now. And we have other crisis now is the job retention crisis of qualified human resources. In one hand, we have so much immigration, and with other hand, we have unemployment and poverty, very, very important poverty. For this, the municipality work to turn all this crisis into opportunities, okay. By building partnership with all universities in Lebanon and some universities in Europe, and national and international NGOs and UN programs and EU programs and other American and funding agencies working in Lebanon. We have so much call for proposal. The municipality of Menjes is signatory of the Covenant of Mayors and member of Connective Cities, and we have finished two strategies. One in energy consumption reduction, sustainable energy action plan, and another for the management of our natural resources. And also, and this is a big problem now, the city of Menjes is at the tentative list of UNESCO Cultural and Natural World Heritage Site. We have so much natural and cultural sites. We need to protect this site, consolidate this site, and valorize this site also. For this, today, we apply, the municipality with its partner, apply to all call for proposal in Lebanon.
Yes, but
from embassies, donors agencies, or other funding agencies working in Lebanon.
Yes, I'd like to know, or ask you questions concern energy supply. So in Germany we know, or we heard, that it's organized by municipal utilities. And how is it organized in your country?
Now we have a blackout in Lebanon. We have a very important blackout in Lebanon. We have electricity only a maximum 1 hour by 24 hours. We apply for the implementation, and the municipality wins the project for a photovoltaic power plant for all the city, with 2 generators to offer the opportunity to have the electricity 24 hours per day, 7 days per week. And all our public lighting is changed into LED lighting, no energivore, and the municipality manage all at local level, all the water sector, from drinking water. We have 24 hours per day drinking water, to irrigation systems, to rainwater harvesting. We have installed by a fund a very big hill lake to collect 60,000 cubic meters of rainwater harvesting. And now we are in the C4C project, Climate for Cities, EU project, and we are selected to install in the city of Menges of a wind turbine and produce from the hill lake some electricity to shift from generator in night hours to renewable energy. And we have implemented other projects important in climate resilience, like reforestation project. And for 4 years ago, we planted in Menges 25,000 trees with economical value, only with economical value, pinus nuts trees, and carob trees, and laurel nobilis trees. And we install into the municipality a unit to extract essential oil, and sell this essential oil to manufacture. And the last project is a very important project to transform our forest waste, all forest waste and agriculture waste, into briquette for heating. We collect to the factory. This is a municipal factory. We collect all the waste at the factory, and we transform all this waste, forest waste and agriculture waste, into briquette for heating.
Yeah,
and now we work with
so many projects, and it's really very impressive. So what can be done on a local level? So, and I would like to bring in our colleague from Tunisia. So now we switch to French, I think. So I know he's also a very well-known expert in energy efficiency, and he is running a Connective Cities working group. Mr. Schrat from Tunisia, are you, do you hear me? There was no response. So do I have to...
Yes, he is. He can hear you,
Bonjour.
and he's listening to the French translation.
Bonjour, students of English.
Hello.
So maybe technique, if we need to...
Maybe we need some technical support.
I think Mr. Schrat, we come back to you later. So I cannot hear you, and my colleagues can also not hear you. And meanwhile, so the question is on energy efficiency, and maybe if you like, you can think about your answer. Meanwhile, I like my colleague to ask my colleague Melanie Grabowy, mayor from the city of Bonn, about the Bonn approach towards energy autarky or energy efficiency, Melanie.
Yes, thank you. Okay, Bonn in Germany is not so big as Cologne, but it's a very international, nice city. The sun is shining, but it's not enough. If everything would run perfect, we could gain 50% of the local energy demand, but it's not enough, yeah? Maybe we can gain some energy with heat pumps or small-scale hydropower plant in rain. But we can't reach autarky at all. We are needing partners in the surrounding from Bonn, or partners in the world, maybe here in Africa.
Okay, thank you, Melanie. And you know, I missed to tell you that our EU Commission President, Mrs. von der Leyen, announced 3 big agreements with African countries such as Egypt, Namibia, of course, and Kenya. And it's the goal is to establish energy partnerships between Europe and African countries. So this is a question for all of you. How can we fulfill these partnerships on a local level?
I think I must think of the experiences we have with the Desert Tech project. Yeah, it's a technical challenge at all, but in the end, this was not the problem. The problem was missing trust. The people won't feel that they can trust on another. The political insecure was too big, and so this very interesting project died nearly. And I think what we have to do is to bring people together first, so that they know each other. And I would like to try to work on a 3-track way. Energy partnership is one, but I think it would be very good to have 2 other tracks. One for education maybe, and one maybe for democratic. And I think when we will bring people together, they can work and be successful at all.
Okay, so what do you think? So speaking about democracy on a local level, so how can you? What is your thinking behind? So what is important if you want to push democracy within German African partnerships?
First, I think of students and people. Yeah, we have little democracy projects in Germany, and we could go and show and do something together with the youth in Africa locals. A few hours ago, I heard from a very nice project between German youth young people, and young people in Pakistan. Yeah, they told each other, oh, what can we do? How can we decide with all the adults? What's to say?
Okay, so yes, I understand. So I really thank you very much for your ideas. So, and partnerships need to build on trust and on democracy. So, but you know, all these countries, Lea knows that, have different frameworks. So energy supply is organized not in a similar way. So in Germany, for example, we are happy a little bit for our municipal utilities that are very close to the citizens, owned by cities. So, and it's their responsibility to organize energy supply, and it differs from country to country. I don't know, Lea, how familiar you are with this. But I can also ask Maxime from Connective Cities, our energy expert, and I was told that you are an expert on energy autarky. Maxime, what do you think about the idea establishing German African energy partnerships on a local level? Will that work with all these different frameworks?
Good evening already. So sorry a little bit, but maybe I'm not a very good energy expert. I'm rather the energy practitioner from the city of Lviv in Ukraine, and representing the City Institute of Lviv. And regarding I could of course imagine the situation regarding the partnership between Germany and African countries regarding energy transition and energy. So at least what could be done is that many European cities, and in particular cities in Germany, they have quite effective technologies developed already, tested already, and demonstrated already its validation that could be transformed to different African cities and African countries, which means like the only thing that should be done is how to establish this first communication between different cities, and then maybe cooperation and sharing of first knowledge and technologies, and after that joint initiatives could be implemented between African and European cities, in particular German cities. And in my opinion, Connective Cities is actually that initiative that can help with that. So I believe that challenges related to trust, challenges related to democracy, and challenges related to energy security and autocracy, like a little bit independency on a local level, could be done by citizens in cities, but through this city-to-city cooperation and communication.
Thank you very much, Maxime. And Andreas, you are very familiar as the chair of Climate Alliance, so meeting often people with different frameworks, and you, of course, announced our municipal energy company. So what do you think? Is it a good model for other countries as well?
Yes, of course. So what we're talking about when we talk about we talk about capacity building between different regions. So the colleague from Lebanon told me some things what they made, and I was very impressed what you're doing in Lebanon for energy autarky. And so I think what we know everything. Everyone knows what to do. So we need more photovoltaic, we need more windmills, but what we also need is hydrogen. So we need more green hydrogen for the times when the sun is not shining and then there is no wind. So we need also especially for the industry, we need there more hydrogen. And what we need is, I always said it, micro power plants. So that every unit of residential area or every house has its own power plant in the cellar, by example. So driven by, especially for photovoltaic and heat pumps. And yeah, that's I think that is a challenge, that we get autark, everyone, every person, every city on a local level, and then we can diminish the problems we have actually faced through the war in Ukraine, and I think we can learn a lot from each other. So from Africa as well, from Lebanon, and also from Ukraine, and also build a new structure of energy in the next year.
Yeah, and Mr. Youssef, you also said that you apply for many projects, EU projects, world projects, and so. What do you think? So I think you are quite advanced in your city with power plants and so. But what do you want to learn from other countries? What could help? What helps you?
Our experience can inspire when we want to learn and innovate, and when, especially in my country, funding opportunity is available. But to switch to the trust in partnership, we have learned this experience. Don't give the municipality in South countries the money. The budget of the project is more managed by other partner. Ask municipalities to build a consortium with university, NGOs, or other stakeholders, and all budget sector of the project is more managed by especially the university. The universities can give more trust to give money to the university, and the municipality is beneficiary of the project. Have in the final line the project, but all the budget line is managed by the university.
Okay, so in your opinion, it should not the city, the municipality should lead the process, but academia, the university. That is your approach?
Yes, this is our approach in all the projects. In all the projects, the municipality does manage any financial budget, or we have beneficiaries, and we have the project at the final stage. By example, now we have a very important project with the University of Geneva. You can imagine a little city in the north of Lebanon with the University of Geneva to protect our cultural heritage. And we apply for the project Horizon 2020, and the university win €4 million to work in our cultural heritage, to protect, consolidate, and valorize this. The municipality have not access to the budget. The municipality not manage €1. All the budget is managed by the university.
This is also a big difference. So usually we in Germany trust our municipal budget or funding, yes. But I understand, so it's always different. And Lea, you also explained us a little bit the importance of the role of cities. So what would you say, how can cities change the energy market? What is your special idea what cities can do to really, that is the beginning of our session, become more independent from Russia?
Thanks, Sabine, for that question. Maybe I wanted to add one thing on the
yes, of course.
And the EU-Africa partnership for cities. I think one thing that we didn't discuss here is the importance of data. Because actually, you can't manage what you can't measure. And it's interesting, it's already a couple of years ago, I was attending a session between businesses, business partners and cities, and the businesses pretty much said, okay, what do you need? And the cities were like, well, we need electricity. And the businesses were like, how much? And they're like, well, we actually don't quite know. Because we don't have the data, because we don't know how many people are lacking access to electricity. So it's a little bit a chicken and egg problem, right? It sounds a bit dry saying we need good data, but good data is also what allows to private companies to come in and to build the business case. So of course,
but what kind of data, please, to specify?
So I think that's different kind of data. Just to be really simple, consumption data that often doesn't even exist. Generation data. I've had the pleasure to go into some of these massive databases, and I've seen some cities putting up data saying they've installed 1 million megawatt of solar PV. I was like, I highly doubt that. I think that might not be quite correct. So, there is, and that goes back to the education part that you mentioned beforehand, to that technical level and that training part and that capacity building as well. And I think that also, if we speak about this EU-Africa partnership, is local capacity building, so it's also local job creation, because we need to make sure that the economic value also stays in these cities. And maybe as a really cool example, that was already some years ago, I was in Mali. I had the chance to visit a small city outside of Bamako, and they had created a German-Mali partnership. And it was, they had put up a solar PV plant, and they had brought people in to train the city and the community of how to maintain that solar PV plant. Because in the end, you can put something there, but if you don't know how to maintain it, it's not going to be useful for very long. And as a side note, what I loved is it was actually quite a lot of women who were trained. So it was, and what was interesting is the effect on that small city, because they had no electricity beforehand, and that turned into a hub where people moved back to that small city because they had access to electricity. You saw small shops and businesses opening up. You saw schools developing, partnerships developing, and I think that's, we need to also think about these big co-benefits. And now I forgot your actual question.
Yes, my question. So, really running always these questions, these African, European or African German energy partnerships, climate partnerships, how to fulfill this life on a local level. So you say, of course, we need to train the people, we need trust, we need capacities. But I wonder, and I'd like to discuss this with all of you. All of you can have an idea about that. What is the mutual interest? So let's say many African countries or states have everything what is needed to produce renewables. You have more sun than you need, and wind, and hydropower in excess. So this is on the one hand. On the other hand, let's say municipal energy companies, capacities, maybe more trust in municipal funding than elsewhere. So how can we bring together different frameworks and capacities with establishing energy partnerships?
I mean, should I start? I mean, please.
Yes, you have an idea.
Yes.
Yeah?
Networking is very important when cities work into a group of cities, like Connective Cities or the Covenant of Mayors or other. This association of cities can offer exchange of good practices and learn from other projects, and it's very important to work into a group of cities and to be from a group of cities.
And thank you so much for mentioning our working group, energy working group of Connective Cities. And now I try again to introduce Mr. Schraat from Tunisia, who is member of one of our energy working groups. Is it working right now? So he speaks French, and we'd like a simultaneous translation. And I hope to hear you now in English. So please, the floor is yours, Mr. Schraat.
He is muted.
Bonjour tout le monde.
Unmuted.
Je ne sais pas, est-ce que je suis entendu ou non?
Oui, c'est bon, c'est bon.
Oui. Yes, we hear you in French.
Je vous passe le bonjour de Djerba, l'île qui est en train de se préparer pour le sommet de la francophonie. D'ailleurs, j'aurais dû être parmi vous, mais malheureusement, les obligations professionnelles m'ont empêché de le faire. Donc, je suis content de participer à ce forum, bien que à distance.
Even if I'm not participating in person.
Can you help us and explain in English what he's talking about?
Maybe I think you're probably even better placed than me. He was just welcoming us and saying at this stage that he's sorry that he cannot be with us. He would have loved to be here in person.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm the only one who is not understanding. Maybe then, how does it work?
Nimm du das doch. Nimm du doch das und ich habe hier eins.
Verstehe das.
I think the lady needs to wear the headset.
Oh, I understand. So,
can you hear me now, madam?
So,
can you hear now?
Et
Can you
on dépasse
hear translation
Ça
now?
passe, oui.
yes.
Ça
Can you
passe?
hear the translation now?
Oh,
Okay,
it's not an
thanks.
interruption.
Thanks.
Bonjour tout le monde.
So, good morning,
Je suis
everybody.
content de participer avec vous, bien que ma participation est à distance.
Participation or online participation. I actually planned to join you in person, but my commitments, professional commitments, and the preparation for the French Francophonie summit have kept us here in Tunisia, and therefore I need to postpone this participation till later. I hope to participate, therefore, in another COP, maybe this next COP. I am happy, therefore, to participate and to exchange with you on the questions relating to climate from Djerba.
Donc,
so much,
comment on va procéder? Est-ce que
So how shall we proceed? Shall I answer questions or shall I make a presentation? Because can you hear me, madam? Madam, can you hear me? Can you hear the English translation? Shall I continue? Yes.
Je profite de cette occasion pour
So please let me seize this opportunity to underline
notre position
our
actuelle.
position, current position.
Bien entendu, la règle
Now, obviously, the rule for sustainable development is to think globally in order to act locally. We are pretty much there.
Nous sommes à Djerba, donc
We are in Djerba
une communauté de
with
municipalités, de 3
a
municipalités.
community of 3 municipalities,
Et
actually.
nous avons adhéré
And we
à
have,
cet objectif de développement durable.
therefore, adopted this objective of sustainable development under the label of Green Djerba. There is a charter for global development. Sorry, sustainable development. And this has been part of plan of land management in the context of climate change. This incited us to go further and prepare our climate plan, the climate plan that will allow us to set forth an action plan for the mitigation of the climate change effects, particularly the greenhouse effects. And this will also help us work
c'est-à-dire de travailler dans un contexte de
this is going to help us work under the context of a Djerba that owns adopts sustainable development and works and endeavors for an action that will allow the daily life of its citizens and to also introduce or submit or deliver a competitive touristic product to its visitors. Now, as regards gas emissions, we need to understand the composition of the different emissions. In Djerba and Homtsu, there is a prevalence of gas emissions with the energy origins, and this occupies 95% of gas emissions, whereas the contribution of the agricultural activity. Can you hear me? Yes. Yes. We always.
And we are very happy to learn more about your climate.
So the structure of the gas emissions in Hometsuk allowed us to understand this prevalence of the energy-based component that we need after that to deal with and address in the framework of a mitigation plan with scenarios that could bring us to perhaps anticipate a reduction of 35 to 50% by 2030. And this thanks to the setting up of what we call energy efficiency through the encouragement of transition towards the electric energy and the transition to a more ecological and behavior for consumers. So the speeding up of the introduction of electric vehicles remains a key component here. You know that the transport sector contributes with more than 35% of gas emissions. when we go for electric, we're going to help the electric transport to develop. And on the other side, we're going to perhaps limit the use of the private cars in a transitional phase. So this is a challenge that we need to take up. At the same time, we need to encourage reforestation as a means to mitigate the effect of greenhouse gas. And it also allows us to reduce carbon through a positive, and this will hopefully give us a situation where a balance, let's say, where we can that will be conducive towards a more responsible behavior. And this, as you can see, helps Djerba move towards a more green, let's say, situation as it aims to. You have earlier exchanged on the importance of partnership between Africa and Germany and the rest of the world as regards energy and technologies that are respectful or of the environment or environment friendly. Obviously, a partnership would be something we would love to have, because we want to have also exchange of experience, but also transfer of know-how and enhancement of capacities.
Thank you, Mr. Schrath. Can you hear me, Mr. Schrath? Okay. So I think I need my headphone. Thank you very much. And a few minutes ago, can you hear me? Yes. Leah said to us how important data are, and you explain so that you have a mitigation plan, a climate protection plan, speaking about energy efficiency, and I think this is a question for this group again. So we need to produce more energy to become more independent from Russian gas, but another solution could be, of course, to be more energy efficient. May I ask you at first, Andreas, what are, let's say, what is the success story in Cologne in terms of energy efficiency? So do you also have a mitigation plan or a climate protection plan, or is it new to you? Yes?
Yes, of course. Also, we don't only have a mitigation plan. So what we made with this with the civil society, we have an exact plan where and when, what we have to do to get fossil fuel free until 2035. And there are also some there's a monitoring every year also with the civil society.
And
how
is
to
it
get
a
there.
new plan? Is it a plan after having the new reality of Russia's war, or is it an older plan?
No, that's a plan from this year.
It's a plan from this year,
It
okay?
it was adopted by I think in the March meeting in March this year by the city council. The war started, but as well the results were from before the war. But at least that's what I say. Might be also we couldn't imagine that we have to reduce our gas consumption so fast, and that the gas got so expensive in the last month. It's a real problem for us. It's also a question of energy poverty. Now we have to support the vulnerable groups, but not only them. That are quite normal families are getting actually problems with the energy prices. So that's a new challenge we have actually. So that costs a lot of money, but actually up to today, the big majority in our city supports this way, and there are only few people say, okay, let's buy gas from Russia. I think this the relationship between Germany and Russia in buying energy, whatever, gas, oil, coal, that is finished. So, and we have to find new solutions to support this much more quicker, perhaps. So I said it's a booster. This war for also for the renewable as well. This winter we have to with the nuclear power as well as with our coal power plants. We have to produce more energy, but I think in the next 2-3 years we can diminish it when we are able to empower our renewable energy.
And I think this was a very good word, so new for us Germans, speaking about energy poverty. So Germans and other European countries are not used to energy poverty. So and this is really I assume that you are more used to energy poverty in villages than we are. So we face this new problem, and I ask you as Green politicians, you and Andreas, of course. So there are many, and even people from the Green Party who now allow again fossil energies and even nuclear power. So as a bridge energy. So yes, this is a question.
Yes, but
for
perhaps
you.
I'm thinking. Actually, we have plans what to do in January and February if there is not enough energy. So which company gets no energy in this? In which neighborhoods there is no energy for 2 or 3 hours? You told me sometimes we only have 1 hour energy. So this thing about energy poverty, what we are talking before the war, we actually have these problems, and it's quite interesting perhaps also to exchange a little bit. In Ukraine, they have no energy for days. That's an actual problem because there is not enough energy. But when we talk about energy poverty before the war, it's also a thing. How can we, no one left behind with the renewables because before the war, and we saw it was much, it was not so expensive as the renewables. But now, the renewables don't cost so much, and now the gas is and the oil, the prices rise. We know this before, but no one act really, and now we are here on this tipping point, and everyone knows we have to change something.
But honestly speaking, so we have two objectives. So one is there to avoid energy poverty. We don't want to leave people behind, but on the other hand, we want to provide with renewable energies. But we have not enough renewable energy. So do you have an opinion, a priority?
Is that working? Yeah, okay, now it's there. I think that goes back to the question that you asked me before, what can cities do? And I think here is, there's several things that cities can do. And the first thing, I would say one of the lowest hanging fruits is municipal governments can put solar PV on all of their municipal buildings. That's something that if there is funding and if there's financing, this is doable. That means it's showing also an example. It's, of course, increasing the share of renewable electricity in the city. Mm-hmm. That's the one thing. Then, of course, there's only so many buildings. There's also only so many buildings that are under city control. And you spoke beforehand about partnerships and what can cities do in order to build these partnerships. And we've seen some really cool example. For example, in France, I used to live in Paris. Good luck putting solar PV on a house that's owned by 150 people. That's going to be incredibly difficult. But the city has now started having a partnership with some communities more in the countryside, and they're investing in a big wind power plant. So that's really interesting. So these partnerships between cities and also more rural communities is definitely a way forward. And then, of course, this, we speak about what municipal governments can do with the building stock, so to say, that they control by themselves, but then also it's about getting everybody else on board, and that's of course the tricky part. I mean, you can give financial incentives, but let's be honest, if we speak about energy poverty, there are people, even if you say, well, I'll give you 1,000 euros if you put solar PV on your rooftop, they say, well, but how do I come up with the remaining 15,000 that this is going to cost me? So of course this question and this link between energy poverty and renewables is definitely there. And I mean, there are some interesting examples of linking social housing with renewable electricity project, and I think that's definitely one way to go. And then, two other aspects to broaden this discussion a little bit is, in what we've measured in the past is always the share of people who have access to electricity. What we have not measured very well is, access to electricity is the one thing. What's the quality of that grid? I mean, in Latin America, cities have 99% of the population has access to electricity. Well, okay, but that electricity doesn't work for 6 hours a day or for so and so many days a year. So that's also reality. So that electricity access measurement only says so much. And then, of course, the other thing is, so who, even if the house is connected, who can afford it and who cannot afford it? That's, I think, something that we haven't really, in many parts of the world, we haven't thought about that really well. So how can we reach also the people who cannot afford electricity? And then, I mean, the other big thing, and that's always something where I actually believe that municipal governments can come in stronger, is we speak about electricity, but what about heating? I mean, of course, you have electric heating, but the heating is incredibly difficult to decarbonize. I mean, you need very local solutions. I mean, 50% of heating demand comes from buildings. We are buildings in and around cities. You have very decentralized solutions. I mean, you have people with their individual gas boilers or their oil tank in the basement. I mean, these are very, very individualized solutions. So you need, a variety of things. You need to have somebody who's skilled and can even replace this. I wanted to replace my heating system, and I'm somebody who's willing to pay the extra price, and I had installers telling me, no, don't do it. Don't go with something so fancy, so new. Okay. This is incredibly innovative and difficult. Don't do it. Just stick, put a gas boiler. It's easier. Don't go with something so new. So.
Okay, so thank you very much. And it was very interesting to hear more about, let's say, the quality of energy supply and how it works. But this brings me back again to my question before. So the sources of energy. So, of course, all of us, we are here at Climate COP27 are in favor of renewables. This is the first choice. But we are dependent on non-renewable energies for the moment. So what is your political answer then, Melanie, as a Green mayor?
What I learned in the last hour is that we can't go alone. We have to come together. This is the only way, yeah? And we need partnerships. We need partnerships to share experiences, but we also need partnerships to gain renewable energy, yeah? We can't do it for our own. We will never be autark in Bonn and in Cologne without helping the surrounding or without helping the world. And we would be very happy to bring something back. For example, we can have exchanges for experts. Yeah, and we can build partnerships between the people are living in the locals, people in the theaters, people in the schools, people in the universities. I like your idea, working together with the universities, because there I can find experts too. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, and thanks again for highlighting partnerships. Yeah. That brings me to our last point here of our session. That brings us to Connective Cities. Connective Cities is a international cities platform, and I'm from the Association of German Cities. We are also partnering Connective Cities together with GIZ and Engagement global, and Connective Cities is bringing together municipal experts worldwide from all over the world, and to facilitate exchange of experience. So we want a mutual benefit, but before we need to exchange experience. And how we do that, this will explain Ricarda Meissner, the leader of Connective Cities. Ricarda, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Sabine. I hope you all hear me and see me, because we have here in Germany also internet poverty, and so I'm on a regular basis disconnected, unfortunately. Yeah, thanks a lot for these very interesting aspects. I think we saw again very well, and as a matter of fact, I will do this last session together with our partner Maxim Terlecki from Live City Institute, who was in the recent years one of our most active cities in Connective Cities from the region of Caucasus. And you saw already how close we are connected, so our cities are ready to talk also about each region and feel really, let's say, like a global community. Maybe could we go to the next slide? I don't see the next slide now. I see only.
Can anyone help us to show the next? We don't.
Let's not to, okay, there it is. I hope it can be read. Yeah, we just came also to this question, why cities? I mean, we have a lot of very good arguments for that, and I think I don't need to elaborate on that again concerning emissions and so on. What is our biggest point is in Connective Cities, or one of the main goals, that we also want to create solutions for cities which can also be used by them, pragmatic solutions. And that is why we focus very much on, or mainly on, peer learning, meaning cities get together and municipalities to think jointly about new solutions, and also, of course, besides also share whatever they have developed. So something like a open source system or a snowball system will be developed, that solutions will be enriched by other cities, sharing it again, developing it further, and making something really interesting out of that, which can then be used by many others. Maybe very quickly to the different offers Connective Cities is doing. We exist already since 2013. Maybe many people from cities and from municipalities have at some point worked with us. As mentioned here on the left side, the mission is mainly to connect urban practitioners and here to share the good practices which have been developed, so others can also use them. I switch directly to the third point, which is support peer learning to develop local solutions, because as we saw, as Andreas Wolter just mentioned, there are also situations where not so many good practices have been developed yet, and where we have to develop new solutions. We need, I think, we think for the challenges of this world and also the challenges of the cities, we need to get together and also need to generate and make available the creativity of cities. That is why we have developed also different formats where peers can work together and also use their creativity. And then the last point is to disseminate that and make it available to others. So our wish is that municipalities, if they look for new solutions, be it into the direction of autarky or in the direction of efficiency or clean energy, or of course other topics, they can first look at what is online already. They can get in touch with the people who developed that, and they can also ask Connective Cities, please come help us, get a team for us together, and we would like to work together, work out together some new solutions for our problems. Quick look at the topics. We are not only in energy, even if that is an important issue at the moment, but of course, and also Maxime has been very active there, climate change in the urban context, developing solutions for that. Municipal crisis here, maybe one example during the COVID crisis, connective cities, of course, with the help of all our partner cities, got quickly together, find solution for these situations where we didn't have a lot of experience. For example, how do we provide support to our citizens during lockdown? Now, how do we even had interesting exchanges. How do we handle actually trolls and things like that, where we creatively got together and people shared over all regions their experiences. Another big topic is sustainable urban infrastructure, municipal services. I don't want to go too far. Probably nobody can remember that. Maybe last two things, formats. We have structured formats, which many people know. We have deep dives, which are over a period of 2 years. We have learning process of 1 year, but we have also very short sessions. We have even hackathons and city labs, where people can get together according also to the needs of the topic. Going in the direction of clean energy is a big topic, but sharing maybe what Lea mentioned before, how do we actually get solar panels, and how do we on all houses is also a big topic, by the way, and how do we finance that, can be a very specific topic, and certainly very worthwhile to develop here a specific format. What we do is we get experts in the cities decide by themselves which projects they work on. The process depends very much on our partner cities, and we help them to get connected to benchmark cities, to good experiences worldwide, and also to expertise. And if we can, and we will work on that even more in future, on finance, because as we know, a lot of financial offers cannot be used because we don't have the time, they don't reach the target group, and are lying idle. Yeah, with this, I maybe Maxime, as one of our champions, perhaps a few last words to you out of experience on your work with connective cities.
Thank you, Ricarda. Thank you very much for explaining connective cities. And before asking Maxime, so just for you, I hope that you feel invited to join our energy group, one of our most important groups these times. Maxime, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ricarda, for providing right now the opportunity to explain a little bit more. So I would like to say first from the experience we have right now in the city of Lviv, and later on I will provide more information about what we expect from the connective cities in the future. However, we already got a lot from the connective cities program through knowledge exchange and experiences from other cities. And related to the energy security, right now our city is actually, of course, quite insecure, I would say, due to a missiles attack on Ukrainian energy infrastructure. But having that as a challenge, our system and our municipalities, we decided to go towards flexible solutions that could help us to balance the existing different situations which we could have in the future, and problems and crises, for example. This flexibility of our energy system is very important right now for our city. And what we are expecting and what we are doing right now, together with other cities in Europe, within the Horizon 2020 project, we are building the positive energy district solution in our city, together with the city of Leipzig, with the city of Espoo in Finland, with the city of Reykjavik, city of Kifisia in Greece, city of Kladno, and city of Maia in Portugal. And there is already a bunch of solutions, a bunch of technologies, innovations available and demonstrated in Europe. And what we are planning to do is to share this solution, these technologies to other cities in East Europe and Southeast Europe region together with connective cities.
Sorry, Maxime, just 1 second. Can I just ask for the next slide? Because Maxime will come to that also. Sorry, just continue, Maxime.
Do we have a third slide?
Third slide, yeah, on our group.
So we are combining our efforts already within the Sparks Sustainable Energy Positive Zero Carbon Communities project we are now implementing, and Connective Cities as a platform that could help us to share this knowledge and to share these practices to other cities. We are expecting to establish the network of cities and network of good practices just to make sure that we know the state of the art in terms of energy security in our region and in terms of sustainable energy transition in our region. After that, we will, together with colleagues from Connective Cities, work with other cities and just to know best practices available anywhere in the world, which will and the Connective Cities will help us with that. So we will work with other municipalities to get their technologies, to get their innovations, and to replicate them in our region, just to make our system and our energy transition to move a little bit beyond, I would say, state of the art. And together with those practices that Connective Cities is offering for cities, this could, in my opinion, it could help us, and it could be very efficient, and we could deliver really strong transition towards different climate goals we have. For example, the city of Lviv applied the Sustainable Energy Climate Action Plan this year, with the aim to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions by 40% by 2030. We have also the vision to become climate neutral, and despite the war, despite the COVID, we had these goals, long-term goals, are still active, and we want to achieve them. And we actually see the war as a challenge for us, of course, which brings us from.
Okay, I think we have lost Maxime. So the internet connection is poor, Maxime, and we are very, very happy.
Really big problems. Yeah.
Okay, we don't see the programs, but I think there was a very important point you made. So this is technology that we missed in our discussion, and there was a wonderful slide with all our discussion points we had on energy poverty, production of energy. Can we see that again, your third slide? Ricarda?
In the first place, I can just explain it, Sabine.
Yeah, okay, we have just 2 minutes left. And I think there was one question from the floor, so I'm happy to hear the question from the floor, Ricarda. Here's a slide. Please, Mr. Omid.
Crisis, also under a topic of resilience, where we also said how can we decentralize energy and be autark or self-sufficient, energy partnerships.
Ricarda?
Yes?
Ricarda, there is someone who tries to ask a question from the floor.
Oh, sorry.
You cannot see.
Oh, I cannot.
I don't know how, if the micro works.
Yes, it's
yes, it's working. No, ask your question, please.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Please say your name and the country you're from.
Okay, it's better I stand up.
Please come with us.
Okay. Actually, I have much to say. I don't know from where to start, but I think all.
The micro is not working. Is someone from Technic can help us to switch on the micro? Yeah, I hope our expert is arriving quickly This is
micro.
The mic.
Yeah, he wanted to ask a question from the floor. And meanwhile, Ricarda, maybe you can we can have again the last slide.
Yeah, but I cannot show it.
Okay.
But I can talk about it.
No, please don't talk.
It's on.
So now, does it work now? Your micro? Yeah, I think it
works. It works.
Yes, please try.
Ça marche.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. Okay. Thank you very much for giving me the floor. My name is Tamba Ivan from Cameroon.
From Cameroon, yes?
Yes. And I want to begin by thanking and congratulating at the same time the German government, because you guys are doing a very fantastic job in Cameroon. Very fantastic.
Well, thank you so much. In Germany, we don't often hear that.
Yes,
But we are
very
happy.
fantastic job. And I'll even be specific. You know, we have the program for sustainable management of natural resources in the southwest region of Cameroon. You call it PSMNR, which is piloted by the German government. Then through your technical partner, the GIZ and the KfW, there are so many projects which you are undertaking in Cameroon. I really wish to.
Oh, okay.
say thank
Ricarda,
you.
are you listening to that? Because she's from GIZ. Maybe she knows projects in
You're
Cameroon.
listening?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm so passionate about Germany. Actually, I was going home, to tell the truth. I attended a side event here. As I passed, I saw Germany. I said, no, I can't just pass like that. Germany is doing so much in Cameroon. So now, you raised two issues here which are of interest to me. Renewable energy. It's a sector which is a bit weak in Cameroon. And Germany has done much. But you know, whoever tells you thank you is still asking for more. So you've done much, but it means you can still do more.
Thank you.
And this project of connective cities, I've just fallen in love with it. Because we have 10 regions in Cameroon, but not all the regions have great cities. We have, for example, Yaoundé, we have Douala, we have Bafoussam, we have Bamenda, and it will be of our great joy to really interconnect with some cities in Germany. I don't know what that will cost, but we are ready for a partnership. I'm here. I'm presently at the Ministry of Vocational Training. And at the same time, too, I know Germany can really accompany us in creating vocational centers so that we can know more about renewable energy. We can know more about how the system works. At the same time, I can't end without sympathizing with my Lebanese brother. When I came in, he was talking about his country. We sympathize with what happened in his country. I've been in Lebanon. I know Lebanon very well. I know Zaleh, I know Tripoli, I know Beirut. I lodged in a hotel in Zaleh, and when I opened the window, I was in Syria, just behind me. You know what I'm talking about. So, my brother, you should know that your country is passing through a difficult period. Count on Germany. These guys are fantastic.
Yeah, so not too much.
Count on them, please, because if they want to help, they will help. They are good guys. They have
we need your help as
they
well.
have very good policies, especially for Africa and for countries which need help like you. So I don't want to take much time. Maxime and Ricarda, your connective city project is I'm in love with it, and I really want us to talk more about it. I don't know how we will exchange while you're over there,
You
but
can
I'm ready.
Let your business card with me.
Good.
So
Okay.
I'm also
Good. Thank you. Thank you. And the last thing, my brother Hussein from Tunisia. I heard him speak too in French. Et ce que je peux dire, c'est que Monsieur Hussein, nous sommes très touchés quand nous parlons de la Tunisie, parce que vous êtes très avancé aussi sur plusieurs secteurs. Et je crois qu'avec le Cameroun, si vous vous souvenez bien, vous allez constater qu'il y a plusieurs Camerounais qui sont venus se soigner en Tunisie. Donc nous avons de très bonnes échos de ce pays et je crois que nous pouvons faire beaucoup de choses ensemble. So I think in terms of sustainable development, Cameroon also has much to learn from Tunisia. So above it, Amanda, I think don't abandon me, please. As I said, you've done much, you can still do more. Who says thank you is asking for more. So I'm here, I'm ready. I'm ready to listen to you. Please take Cameroon, put in your bag. I know that we still need much from you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So applause for Cameroon. And we are always very happy to get compliments for Germany and especially for Connective Cities, isn't it, Connective Ricarda? And I think now we are at the end, but
we are very happy
Yes,
about
yes.
this, and
Yes,
please be our member in the
And,
working group.
to a quick wrap up, so feel all and everyone from the audience invited to join Connective Cities, to join our Connective Cities Energy Group and chaired by Andreas in future, so to make it short, Andreas. And to wrap up, so there are very, very interesting topics for us. One is energy poverty, a new topic for us Germans. Renewables, of course, so we know technologies, how to produce more, but as you said, it's not enough, could be more. And we can also profit from your renewables because you have much more renewable sources than we have. So we want to establish partnerships on a local level, and of course we learn more about relevant technologies. Maxime, so this is a very quick wrap up. And finally, I'd like to invite all of you that are not virtually connected to our small reception. So here we offer white and red wine, water and orange juice. Thanks to all of you.